And I looked at him and, oh, this is so cool.
It's such a cool time. And, back to real quick before we let you go, continued success, of course, with NWA Power. What do you guys think as a company that you really learned in season 1 that maybe can change a little bit in season 2, or things that we could, you guys could focus more on going forward?
I think I got asked this earlier in the Fight TV sort of media scrum that we did, but I think that my only real big takeaway was I think that I like to let the matchups find themselves. I believe in old school promoting and booking in that respect, in the sense of if we democratic and we give everybody who wants it, that we've decided to work with at the NWA, and we have, our roster, it's coming together so nicely. It's just such a good mix of like backgrounds and ethnicities, and but all seasoned professionals. Like there's a few young guys in there, but even the young guys have got some reps behind them and stuff, and that's what I believe, like that's what I think really sort of defines the NWA. But like what I want is more people to get to go out and do like what I did in the first episode, and pretty much in most episodes, was get the chance to go out and cut a money promo, then have a match, and kind of establish who you are, and let everybody kind of get that, get that time, and then just kind of see where the natural matchups are, and like take Trevor Murdoch, for example, just steps back into the light. You know what I mean? Just on our, because of this vehicle is perfect for him, and he just comes out and he's just like, he grabs it with both hands, Suddenly you're talking about a guy who I think is a player. I think, what I mean? I'm looking at him going, I can make money. Like I could draw money with him in the main event.
Sure. You guys had a great match 2 weeks ago. Right.
And that was like scratching the surface.
Sure.
And it's like, but we couldn't plan for that. When Trevor was approached about, as far as I know, he was basically said, hey, come to Atlanta, we'd like you to lace them up again, but we also could just do with your help, meaning with some of the younger talent. And it's like, and it wasn't like he had a chip on his shoulder, but he just kind of came out, and the audience were just like, the audience made us all go, F that. Like we've got a star on our hands.
Right.
We've got a real player. So it's like, we did try to make some adjustments, during that, but it's hard with a tape show, obviously. Right. Like, obviously it's, but as best we could, we did make some adjustments. We really did. We listened to that live audience, and that live audience, man, like they were just the 12th man, the whole time. I mean, they made the show, like, because I don't care who you are. It's only a couple hundred people, but the atmosphere in there was nuts. Was electric. Like that first response I got when I walked out for that first promo on that, that first episode of NWA Power. I had a bigger rush for that as I did, when Cody and I were stood there with 11,000 people standing before we even touched, because it was like, you could feel everybody just going, shit, I am part of something. And that's how they felt it all in too. Like everybody there could tell they were part of something. And you could see that and feel that in the talent. Like that was without question, the best dressing room atmosphere I've ever seen. Because again, everybody was just like, I'm part of something here. Like there's something happening here, and I think the big takeaway for us in this, when I had these conversations with Billy, and I know Billy had these observations during those tapings, but I was, I try to keep a healthy distance from production meetings and stuff like that, as a talent. Like I try to sort of, I have my influence obviously, but I try not to get too in the weeds with everything to kind of muddy those waters. I want to make sure that the management feel like they can say and do what they want to say and do without worrying about me. Does that make sense?
Sure. Yeah.
But I do remember having a conversation with Billy where we were just like, man, we didn't need to worry so much about booking. Like we just let the guys go out and kind of run free, and then see what matches occur. See where, the same way that I assume that an MMA or a boxing promoter does, where they just kind of see these performances and then they go, he'd match up well with him, and hey, I wonder if we could match up him and him. That would be a good one, or her and her, and that's kind of where we're at with stuff now. It's like let the guys loose and then see what rivalries and matchups kind of stand out to us, and and let the audience kind of be a part of that, feel it.
Right. I was going to say, see how the audience,
right.
steers the ship. And I think you really hit on the nail on the head in regards to the audience, because a lot of time for tape shows, the audience isn't as lively as they are in some of the live shows. But the NWA crowd, I don't know how many episodes you guys tape or how long the tapings are, but regardless, the audience is literally on their feet making noise from beginning to end. And I think that says a lot about the fans there and the passion they have for the NWA, but also as well as like how the shows are laid out, how, from top to bottom, you're keeping the audience invested. And I think we're going to see that. I mean, I can't wait to see what the crowd's going to be like this Saturday. I know it's going to be the same venue, but if it continues the way it is, I think you might have to at some point look at those bigger venues, because you're saying you're selling out that quickly, the crowd's that passionate, and it's not just in the South where NWA was so popular. You have those social media hits you see all the way, Northeast, all around the world, and things like that. So it's not, while yes, it might be a territorial promotion, the interest is, like you said, worldwide, and that's basically due to YouTube.
Yeah, the last time I checked, there were people from 41 different countries have already ordered Into the Fire on Fight. So I mean, I don't know what that number is now, but like, that right there is, proof enough. Like we've got a pay-per-view buy in Afghanistan. It's like
that's saying something.
Yeah, and no, you're right. We've had a huge response from the UK fans, and I think that's only going to increase now with Stu Bennett coming on board, and then like France and Germany, and I think it's because our show is pro wrestling, stripped down to the bare bones. Like it's easier to follow for and it's kind of like unapologetic pro wrestling is what I call it. It's very much like the wrestling that it feels like wrestling. It doesn't feel like it's trying to be something else. Like we are absolutely not ashamed of being pro wrestling,
No, and the fans, have responded in tow. So this Saturday, I know recently there were some stipulations added to the match. It's a 2 out of 3 falls match. You and the Cowboy James Storm you're defending your NWA World Heavyweight title. Cowboy James Storm picked Brian Hebner to be his referee. Believe you picked Tim Storm to be the second referee of the third fall. Do we know who the referee of the third fall might be?
As far as I'm aware, the third fall, if necessary, would be a coin toss. It'll be one of the two existing referees.
Oh, okay, interesting. So 2 out of 3.
That's what I've been told as of now.
Okay. So 2 out of 3 falls match, you and James Storm for the NWA World Heavyweight title at NWA Into the Fire this Saturday. Fight TV everywhere. And not for nothing, I also have to say the intro to Into the Fire is by far my all-time favorite professional wrestling intro. I'm also a huge fan of Dokken.
You mean the intro for Power?
I'm sorry, the intro for Power,
yes.
Yeah. Which is Dokken's Into the Fire, the 80s metal band, is amazing and really sets the tone every single week. I gotta tell you. That's
Billy. Billy deserves the credit for that. So he had talked about wanting something like that for it, and I remember when he first sent me the song, I kind of remembered it. I love 80s rock. I love 80s hair bands and stuff, but like Dokken, I was kind of like, oh, sure. And I remember hearing it and sort of going, like, the opening is very sort of slow and melodic, and you know what I mean? And I was like, and it's kind of a lovey, and it's like, your eyes, they beckon me. And I was kind of like, I remember thinking, I don't know, like, this doesn't feel right. And then, lo and behold, people just love that song, man. And like, I have to admit, like, when I was watching, when I felt like I was spending every day watching rough cuts of the episodes, I did find myself saying, I never want to hear this song again in my life. But it's like I say, it's a huge part of our thing now. And I do love, and I love the intro too, because I just like you said before, it's a callback to the sort of very typical 80s television show intros where you kind of get like the main cast members, like, these are like if it was like Dallas or, you know what I mean, or something like that. And it changes based on who's being featured on that particular episode, which is like, again, just another little cool thing, that just kind of, we try to do to just be different, But, this is a Bischoff mantra, but it's like, we definitely have that same sort of vibe that he's talked about when he was doing Nitro, which is like, how can I be different? You know what I mean? Like what are all the, like, what's everyone else doing? So like, what could we do that's different to that? So it's just little things like that. And that's one of them. Yeah, for sure. But God, people love that song.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because I did notice every week the, like the stills and the clips in the intro are changed. And it's funny, Joe and I were just talking about this last week. What you have every single week is a great montage. And every great 80s movie had a montage, whether it be Rocky IV, Over the Top.
Come on, man.
Out for Blood, Marked for Death, Steven Seagal. They all had a great montage. And when movies stopped having montages, they stopped being good. So NWA's callbacks.
Everyone loves a good montage.
And if you don't, then you're not watching the right stuff. Mighty Ducks 2, I could go on for days. A great montage makes the movie.
What's funny? Like, so many people, and I didn't even really notice it the first time. And then when I went back to it, so many people said to me how much they loved the way that episode 1 ended. Not with the kind of veering left turn with the Joe Galley asking about Camille thing. Like, that was a cool wrinkle, but there was the very, very end of the first episode is like, Tim looks at me and I look at Tim and I give him the 80s point, you know what I mean? And it goes like, boom, into the fire. And I was like, when I started, like, God, that might have been just a hair too cheesy. And then everyone was like, oh man, that point was just the best. Like, oh man, I got goosebumps. And I was like, all right, well, good.
No, that was like when Carl Weathers and Arnold gave that pound.
Yeah.
That's exactly. And then the music hit. Oh, man, I'm just getting more and more excited for this weekend. Like I said, NWA Into the Fire, 1999 on Fight TV. It will be the best 3 hours of your weekend. It is Cowboy James Storm going for the title against the national treasure, Nick Aldis. Allison Kay is on the card. Eli Drake's on the card. Aaron Stevens. The list goes on and on. It will be, as you said, unapologetically professional wrestling for 3 hours on Saturday night. Nick,
and the debut of Stu Bennett, formerly known as Bad News Barrett.
Absolutely. And I also believe a fan favorite, the Question Mark, is going to be on the show.
God, question mark.
The question mark, maybe, as you said, the fans dictate.
There's another example.
Future challenger.
There's another example right there. Like, that was just kind of a wacky idea that happened kind of quickly. And then next thing you know, they love this guy. So, suddenly we're scrambling to, have him out more. Cause I think I don't remember what his original booking sheet looks like, but I know that those fans would have been out for blood if they hadn't got enough of their question mark fixed by that second day.
Sure, and then the T-shirt was out.
Cult thing that's taken off, yeah.
Yeah, and then his T-shirt was out shortly after that. So
hot seller.
That's for sure. Well, Nick, thank you so much. We appreciate your time. Best of luck to you and the entire NWA this weekend. Like I said, NWA Into the Fire, 6:05 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the Fight TV app. Nick, thank you so much. Best of luck. We look forward to talking to you soon.